Are you searching for purpose of life? Discover your true identity. Stay tuned to Shalom World.
Compassion is that space in the marketplace where you can sit with, feel for. You are truly authentic, genuine, truly brother or sister beside on life's journey. As we look at the spirituality of encounter in the marketplace, we've talked about coming as guests and being deeply present and sensing the innate dignity of self and the other. When we do that, our hearts will open in compassion. We need to work every day of our lives on presence and guest. But if we do that, the growth of compassion will just flow. Our hearts will grow daily and will become more of a compassionate presence in the marketplace. Jesus went up into the lonely places by himself. He was a man of profound prayer. But from that time of prayer, he would come back into the marketplace and he would encounter the pain of the marketplace. So when the man came to him and said, "Sir, if you want to, you can cure me," from deep within, Jesus says, "Of course I want to." And this same Jesus reaches out and touches the leper. And the same Jesus allows the sinful woman to come and to cry onto his feet and to wash his feet. The same compassionate Jesus cries at the tomb of his dear friend Lazarus. And from guest and presence, the eyes of compassion grow and our hearts grow to accept wider and wider. Our arms bring in more. Our eyes grow softer. We are less judgmental. Our ears hear cries we could not hear. Our eyes see beauty where before we could not see. Compassion, to suffer with, to break bread with, to have empathy for. We label less. It's amazing, but when we're on this spiritual journey, on this heart journey, the heart of Jesus grows within us. It sneaks up on us, and we don't think we have grown much into the loving heart. But if we deliberately invite him to make his home within us, if we are people of prayer, of presence, if we work on guest and on presence, we'll be slowly transformed. Our heart will grow. It'll be the kind of heart the marketplace so desperately needs. And we won't even know that it is happening. Many years ago, I was working with asylum seekers. And a young man, Liam, was working with me, and he ran a drop-in centre where asylum seekers could all come. And I said to him one day, "Liam, if a politician could come and work with you and see what you do, what would you say?" He said, "I wouldn't say a thing. I would just get the asylum seekers to break open story. See, when you share story, it comes from the heart. When we hear story, when we sense story, our hearts grow. We grow in a compassion to hear the story of the other with. I had the privilege of working with homeless people for many years. And it was a beautiful space where I at first went there thinking they would be unkempt and they'd be smelly and they'd be dangerous. But when I gathered amongst them, they welcomed me. They accepted me. They came as guests and were present to me. Their eyes, from the eyes of pain, of living on the streets, they could see my dignity, maybe long before I had even seen it. So I found the street space a place of beautiful compassion. It really liberated me. It was a place of acceptance, of worth. So Liam and his work with the asylum seekers and my own work with the people in the streets taught me about this dignity that Jesus saw. The compassionate eyes and ears and hearts that we're talking about, they just do not happen. We have to work on it. And that's where the actual Eucharist comes in. That's where prayer comes in. That's where silence is such an important thing. That's where the heart open to the workings of God's Spirit comes in. The Spirit fills our hearts. And when we reflect on the encounters of the marketplace, we begin to see the face of God. We can be so blocked. We can have almost like a blinker. But so often, God will disturb us through the faces of our day. Many years ago, I attended a retreat. And in India, Father Jerry Rosario works with the really poor of India. He's known as the barefoot priest because he walks with the people. Anyway, Jerry was giving a talk and I was sitting there and it was very good. At the end of the talk, the last 5 or 6 minutes, he finished his talk and then he looked at us and said, "Disturb us, O God. Disturb us, O God. Disturb us, O God. Disturb us, O God." And he repeated this over and over again. And after about 6 or 7 times, I kind of went, okay, I can see, the thing you are saying, but then he kept on saying it slowly. And after about 15 times, I felt the presence of God inviting me to have God's eyes, God's ears, to be disturbed. It was a powerful moment. And when you become aware of your blocks and your prejudice, where you are angry, where you label still, you begin to find the cracks where God can enter in. The place where God wants to work on you, to soften your eyes, to unblock your ears, to stretch out your hands where you don't want to stretch to. Compassion. It's no I, it. It's a I, thou beyond labels. The ego goes quiet. You disarm. It's not a competitive space. You do not have to win. Compassion is that space in the marketplace where you can sit with, feel for. You are truly authentic, genuine, truly brother or sister beside on life's journey. And yes, there is pain there still. But your presence with the other in the marketplace and its pain brings hope and life. I don't like the phrase walk in the shoes of your brother or your sister for a mile. I don't believe we can really walk in someone else's shoes. But if we have a compassionate heart, we can somehow walk beside them. And you can cry with them, be silent with, helpless with, in the space beside the other, the space of true compassion. And sometimes in that space, the other doesn't need us to do anything, to even say anything. Just to be present with them might be all that the other needs. But this compassion isn't just a nice thing. It can call forth from us a courage we feel we did not have. The danger is that we can just choose in the marketplace the nice, comfortable, compassionate responses, the ones that are safe. One reason that many people, particularly a lot of young people, have left our community of faith is that they don't feel inspired by us. They feel that we've been selective in what we are compassionate about. One example of this would be Cardinal Bernardine. Bernardine was Cardinal Archbishop in Chicago. And there was a time when America was at war and there was an election coming up, and they felt that kind of abortion was the issue facing America and their church there. And Cardinal Bernardine came out and said, abortion is wrong. Abortion is wrong. And he named and celebrated the gift and the sanctity of life. But then he also said to bomb Iraqi water treatment plants is wrong, and to bomb hospitals is wrong, and to leave depleted uranium all throughout the particular country is wrong. And he coined the phrase, the seamless garment of life. And he celebrated life from the womb to the tomb and everywhere in between, the dignity and the sanctity of all of life. But sadly, some people didn't hear that, and all they heard was that he was about war and peace and issues such as that. It requires great courage to speak the gospel of life, of love. Bernardine found that. A young Australian woman, Donna, in the middle of the Iraqi war, Donna went with a group of other young people and stationed herself next to sewage plants and water treatment plants to be with the people. That's the courage of the marketplace. This marketplace courage, whether it be Dorothy Day in the Catholic worker community, and the hundreds and thousands of wonderful great saints of our church who over and over again have pointed to these heroic acts of courage that have dragged us off and kicking and screaming, because sometimes we want to just stay with the nice marketplace kind of an issue, but they've dragged us. Catherine Macaulay into the streets of Dublin, Nano Nagel into the slums of Cork, Helen Pregine to the prisoners on death row, Jean Donovan to Salvador. So many of these men and women of the gospel have said this compassionate response beyond where we are comfortable. And if I go to my private chapel and I pray for the poor, and that's all I do, God weeps. If I go into my private space and I feel sorry for the homeless and the hungry I see in my TV screen, if that's all I do, God weeps. Jesus' choice for solidarity and awareness and advocacy and action with the poor in the liminal space led to the cross. It is no accident that the core symbol, the ultimate symbol of love within our world and compassion within our world is the cross. But begin where you are. Begin with the people of your day. Begin with the issues that impinge on your life where you are. And then, like Jerry Rosario, pray, disturb me, O God. And sure, compassion will call us into places of risk. But our God walks with us, walks beside us. In those places of risk, we are not alone. Sure, compassion will call us into places of powerlessness, and often with people who feel powerless. Sure, compassion may call us into places of surrender and trust and presence, calling for the love we did not know that we had. Thomas Merton, the great monk, said, "Do not depend on the hope of the results when you're doing the sort of work which you've taken on. Essentially, you may have to face the fact that your work will be apparently worthless and achieve no results at all, if not results opposite to what you expect. But as you get used to this idea, you start more and more to concentrate not on the results, but on the value, the rightness, the truth of the work itself. And there too, a great deal has to be gone then through. And gradually, you struggle less and less for an idea and more for specific people. And the range tends to narrow down, but it gets more real. Merton says, in the end, it's the reality of personal relationships that saves everything. So, in this marketplace, in the ordinary people, in the ordinary events of our day, we come as guests. We choose to be deeply present. We're deeply aware of the innate dignity of the other. Our hearts will open in compassionate, and in that sacred space, we will truly be Christ's eyes and ears, his heart and hands and feet, in a way we never dreamt we could be, in a way that the marketplace
lot of talk in our church today about the new evangelization, and we might ask, well, what's new about the new evangelization? One thing that's new is that we're trying to renew the faith in people who should already be Catholic, should already be Christian. Individuals, families, communities, whole cultures that need to rediscover the gospel. And so what's new is that they're getting a new shot in the arm of faith, of evangelization. Another thing that's new about it is the way that we do that. And the new media and groups like Shalom World TV are very important for bringing the gospel anew to our cultures, to our families, to each of us individually. And so I encourage all the viewers of Shalom World TV, and I encourage Shalom World TV themselves to keep up the good work, to keep watching this channel and to keep up the good work of presenting the Catholic faith to our world today.